Additionally, tagging groups, and we'll talk about this with Instagram too. It's okay, Mike. Tagging other groups, guys, it's a really important way to take your prevention information and spread it. So if I want to post and tag, empowerment zone, it's like networking online. They're going to see that I tag them. They might see that I shared their post. And again, we're just pushing the prevention information out to more people. Don't reinvent the wheel. You don't have to make your own post up every day. If another organization had a post that was great and would be relevant for your page, you can share their post to your page. It takes a minute. This is really important for Facebook, you guys. People need to interact with your posts. They need to like them, comment on them, share them. The more people do that, it's going to tell the Facebook algorithm that your posts need to show up in their feed. If they're not opening them or they're not interacting with it, Facebook's going to think they don't care, and they're not going to show up in their feeds as often. Event pages. I know some groups do this. Event pages are really important. I think because if you're having an event, it's an online invitation. So you're basically sending thousands of people an invitation to your event. They can share that invitation to other people. And again, we're just getting our reach a little bit farther. And I'll show you insights. The analytics, guys, they're so important on Facebook and Instagram. See how many followers you have. What cities are they in? I'm Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods. If most of my followers are from Grosse Pointe, then if I'm posting information about Harper Woods, it might not be relevant. So you kind of want to see who your followers are. Ads are so cheap on Facebook. For $5, you can take an ad, target your audience, what cities you want, what time of day you want that post to go out, and you can really reach a few thousand people for just $5 or whatever, how much you want to spend over 5 days, 3 days, 1 day. Going live on Facebook and Instagram, a lot of your groups have probably already done this. In this COVID world, it's a great way to have guest speakers. They could go live on your page with you. You save it as a post and it lives on your Facebook page permanently. So if people couldn't attend that presentation, it is up on your Facebook page forever, and that resource is there and people can go back and see it at another time. Another tool Facebook has is Creator. We're all super busy, but if you have a little extra time 1 week, you can prep all your posts and schedule them to go out when you want. You don't have to post that second you want that post to go out. You can schedule them a week ahead of time. If you know you're going to be on vacation and you still want posts to go out that week, you can schedule them ahead of time. I'm going to jump to Instagram for a hot second, and I am going to go to my Instagram page too, so you can kind of see what some of these things look like. We laugh about hashtags, those of us who are a little older, because it sounds silly. Everybody's like, hashtag call me, hashtag whatever, but they're really important in Instagram world because it tells people what your post is about and to follow you. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Posting to Instagram has an option to share that post right to Facebook. So you're getting 2 posts for the time it took you to make 1 post. So if you're not on Instagram yet, but you're on Facebook, you can make an account, post to Instagram, and it shares it right to Facebook. It goes for stories too. And I know I'm talking fast and giving a lot of information, but I'll have my contact info. You guys can reach out at any point. Stories on Instagram. I love stories. I think they're great. They're little blurbs of video or pictures. They show up for 15 seconds and they last for only 24 hours on your page, but they have fun options. You can do polls, you can ask questions, you can play music. I like it. Think data and prevention. We love our data. Do you want to see more posts about underage drinking? People can say yes or no. Are you interested in receiving more information about vaping or e-cigarettes? Yes or no. Or you can ask a general question and get a full response back. So again, you're getting great data from the people who you're trying to reach. Follow other pages, Facebook, Instagram. follow other pages, comment on their pages, like their pages, share their posts. That's virtual networking. Especially in COVID world, we are not able to do the networking we used to do. This is a great way to network online. Same thing, go live on Instagram, bring in guest speakers, do a presentation. It saves in your feed. It's permanent. People can access that presentation at any time, which I think is really awesome. There is an app called Repost that allows you to share other Instagram posts. It's not like Facebook, you can't just share it to your page. I think it's $4. It's well worth it. Between all the pages I run, I probably use Repost 3 to 4 times a week. It's, again, don't reinvent the wheel. Someone else made a great post, you can share that. Insights, and I'm going to show you what those look like in a hot second. Again, really important to know, you guys. So I'll pop my contact information up for a second, and then I'm going to hop to my Instagram page. So I've got my phone number and my email address up there, and I will preface this whole thing with, I never used Instagram on a laptop till yesterday. I only use it through my phone. So I will do my best here. This is what our Instagram page looks like for Healthy Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods. These are all our main posts. Now we're not just a substance abuse prevention coalition, we're an overall wellness coalition, so our topics vary. But here's a cool thing, let's talk about insights, like your data. So this, when you look at this post, it was about DE Take Back Day. I did a bunch of posts about where in Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods all of our medication take back bins are. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, bummer, only 2 people liked this post. Well, view your insights. This post went to 71 accounts. Now, it's not great, it's not awful. Do I know if 71 people read that entire post? I don't know, but it went to 71 accounts. 30% of those people don't actually follow my page, which is kind of cool. So my guess is they follow one of the hashtags I used, and this is where the hashtags are important. Maybe they follow Grosse Pointe Park Police as a hashtag. Maybe they follow, you know, Harper Woods or Grosse Pointe. So that was 30% of those 71 who might not normally see my post, but because I used a hashtag, it triggered it to pop up in their feed. Okay, the last thing I'll talk about is stories, and then I'll be done. All right, I don't know how familiar people are with stories, and you can, again, I post on Instagram and shares to Facebook. So these are the ones that stay up for 15 seconds and are only there for 24 hours. So, okay, this is gonna pop up quickly. Do you get outside for fresh air? Yes or no? Now on the back end, I'll be able to see how many people answer this question. This is where data, I love this. What topics would you like us to post about? People can answer. You're getting direct information from them about what they want to hear. Vaping devices, would you like more posts about vaping and e-cigarettes? Yes, so that already gives me something to go for. I took this from a local group. They're doing a food distribution. I'm sharing it. Now, stories only last 24 hours, but if there's a story that you really love and you don't want it to disappear, you can make a highlight reel and it becomes permanent on your page. So for example, I have an LGBTQ resources highlight page. So people can go and get the information and it stays on my Instagram page forever. So that's really cool. I posted it in stories. It stayed up for 24 hours, but I liked it so much, I saved it to a highlight. And you can have a highlight for your different partners. The Helm is one of my partners, Harper Woods Library. So that's where I house the stories that I really like in highlights on Instagram, which I think is great because again, you keep that important information. If there's a topic somebody's interested in, they know they can get it from your highlight reel. So super quick, lots of information. here's my personal information, give me a call, send me an email, and I'd be happy to meet with you guys if I can help any more with your Facebook and Instagram questions.
Thanks, Sasha. We will, thank you for that. Marcel? You are on mute. I don't know if you're aware of that, Marcel, but just a heads up.
I did not know. I'm sorry. Okay, so this, I just want to run you guys through a campaign that I did last summer for the Empowerment Zone Coalition. We were trying to do some more digital things due to COVID, and we weren't able to get into the classrooms. So an idea that I had was to we set up a website with some it's some alcohol prevention tips for kids and young people that would give them some information on, some alternatives that they could do, some alternative summer activities that they could take part in, instead of drinking and doing drugs and stuff. So before we get into that, I'll show you guys that website really quick. Here it is. So this is a website. It had a training video that we put together, kind of going through what the other stuff that's on the website, talking about the consequences of saying no, socially distanced summer fun that youth could have, and how you can prevent underage drinking, and kind of the a lot of different information on youth alcohol prevention. And so we coupled that website with display ads using Google, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Google, I think we ran it for about a month. And so on Google, we were able to get over 300,000 impressions with 2,000 site clicks. That was people going directly to the site and hopefully, reading and watching the training video. We were able to get demographic breakdowns. We targeted mostly towards young people that were graduating and spending that summer, trying to target people that were in that summer between high school and college that we knew, that's a big party time. So, we were pretty successful in hitting our target demographic of people between the ages of 18 and 34. You can see we had tens of thousands of impressions, hundreds and hundreds of clicks. We were able to target those to our target demographic areas and track that, as you can see, 48213, 48214, 48224. These are all of the, specifically the east side of Detroit where the Empowerment Zone works out of. These are our Facebook and Instagram results. We were able to break it down by age and gender. So you can see that, we were able to track how many females between 13 and 17, males between 13 and 17. Some pretty good results there as well. Again, the second half of those. We also ran ads on Twitter. It was our June anti-drinking campaign. We were able to get 3,000 impressions on there, over there with 83 clicks. And so this is our website traffic for that month. It was way up over the past 30 days, which I believe would have been May. So we had over 1,800 sessions with over 2,000 fresh page views. We were able to see where those new clicks came from. As you can see, they're mostly around Southeast Michigan, where we were targeting those ads at. And so overall, we had over 300,000 impressions on deliverables across social media, geo-targeted online billboard ads, so on and so forth, with over 2,100 website views and people consuming that prevention information across our targeted zip codes. In our targeted ages between 13 and 24, we did unfortunately have a couple website issues that were fixed later on in the month. So here you can see, much like what Hunter showed us earlier, the display ads, they're essentially digital billboards that we tried to make sure that they were, of course, culturally competent, will reflect the demographics of the people in our area. And then we had a good message, which was Think, Don't Drink this summer, learn the facts from the Empowerment Zone Coalition. And if you click that ad, it would go to the website I showed you earlier with that prevention information. So, and again, the analytical breakdowns of, the reports that they give you are really valuable tools, especially when you're going to reports and to apply for grants. And you can compare the click-through ratios to industry-wide norms. And so a 1.5% may look a little low, but actually compared to industry norms, which are around 1.7, 1.8%, it's pretty good. So you see this one had more impressions. This one, Think, Don't Drink. And as I said before, we were targeting towards grads, so we wanted to make sure that we had some sort of graduation hat. And, it was a pretty good campaign. We got some very good numbers back from it. And those impressions and those click-throughs, and, really able to see, what we did and who we were able to target. This was some more results. And, you just see that the reach and the impressions on these were, pretty good. And I think this was just, $10 a day over the course of a month, which, is relatively cheap when it comes to, doing ads, especially compared to things like billboards and PSA, radio PSAs and TV PSAs, where you don't quite get the level of detail when you're looking at those analytics. So, yeah, just wanted to show, and one more, I want to show you guys one more about the power of TikTok, which I saw that not a lot of people were using, but it is a very, very, all the young kids are using it. If you're targeting middle schoolers and elementary schoolers, even high schoolers, it is the foremost, social media platform. So last year we partnered with a number of coalitions and a company called Go Media, which also works with a lot of coalitions in the area to do a holiday DFC house party. We hired a influencer, I can't remember her name. I believe her name was Brooklyn. She's a social media influencer and rapper that's really popular with the kids. And she made a couple posts to highlight a competition that we were running, which encouraged kids to make a quick TikTok about TikTok dance with one of her songs. And she would post about the competition and, give a drug-free message. And we did this all across the country. There's a video there, but I don't think we have time to play it. But I wanted to show you guys these numbers. So all in all, we did receive 1.8 million total views on TikTok across which got us 334 total contest entries and 156 qualifying contest entries. Those were ones that that did fit all of the rules for the contest. For 1.6 million online impressions served, which got us 30,000 hours of drug-free content. So it was people that were posting her message, her posting her message, reposting the message, making those TikTok videos. And the song that she did was advocating for drug-free lifestyle as well. And it was like a nationwide campaign, because SUDS, Pro Youth Team, and Addiction Prevention Coalition and Headway are they're in different parts of the country, and the CLASS, the Empowerment Zone Coalition, and the Coalition for Urban Youth and Family Development are all Detroit-based. And so for the Empowerment Zone Coalition, these are our results for the videos that we posted to our community. 200,000 impressions on that with 180 clicks, and a pretty decent click-through ratio there as well. So I know that TikTok is a bit more labor intensive, and that everything has to be a lot of posts end up being videos, but you can do text posts as well and picture posts to TikTok, which, can get pretty good amount of views.
Hey, thank you, Marcel. Maybe you can put the link to the video in the chat people are asking for, or if
Oh,
not,
yeah, I can
video
find that
afterwards.
too.
Thank you, though. Barry.
All right. I'm following these people. They're good at this stuff. I'm just going to explain kind of a campaign we did. We had about half of Mid-State Health Network regions, which is about 10 or 11 communities that ended up participating in it. Going to kind of walk you through it and to let you know that if you want this campaign, all you have to do is connect with me and we can get you set up to have the whole campaign for free. There's even a workshop series. There's a small fee involved in that for training the trainers of $25, but otherwise it's pretty inexpensive. You can utilize it across anywhere you want because it's already been bought and paid for. So first and foremost, I just want to thank Mid-State Health Network for allowing us to use the OND funds for this project to actually do that. So the purpose of the campaign was to diffuse negative perceptions about addiction, to empower audiences to realize about addiction as well, to educate people on the negative impact of addiction, and to recruit and empower those individuals that are friends of recovery as well as develop some shared tools. This looks familiar to everybody. Yeah, we use that strategic prevention framework. We looked at every different aspect of it when we're utilizing it. Part of utilizing that was doing an assessment. These are the questions, by the way, if you get the kit, the questions are in the kit as well. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything's done for you. That's why I'm saying it's pretty good. And we looked at it from a standpoint of, we looked at the individual level. That would be doing some education there, as well as maybe some community media type stuff. Looking at the staff level, that is some workshop series. As I said, we have involved with that, as well as the community level. Really important to figure out what your target audience is. Ours is the healthcare community. So we took this workshop series and did it to McLaren Bay region, their culture and diversity team. We've now been invited to do the McLaren healthcare system culture and diversity team in January. So it is something that people are liking. Just to give you an idea, this only costs us about $8,000 with all those partners. It was less than $300 a partner. Bay County Prevention Network started the process. They already had paid money and we weren't going to ask for more money from people. So we just divided that cost up in that as well. Here are some examples of some of the designs that were done. The only thing we ask is when you do that, there's some fidelity pieces. We like to keep the same color system so we can keep it consistent across the counties. I do have a short video I'm going to show you because I know I'll have time because I don't have as much information as you people did before me, but I'll show you that really quick here. Hopefully it'll work. It's only 56 seconds. So Mike, I need to make sure really quick. I'm going to stop sharing. Anybody ever shared and forgot the video and forgot you had to share sound? You know, that is always a problem. So I want to make sure that I'm sharing sound as well. So I'm going to go here. Appreciate everybody's patience with me. I always forget about that sound aspect of it, and I didn't want to do this without the sound because it really is an imperative piece of it. It's only 56 seconds, so here we go.
Addiction does not discriminate. Addiction is a disease. Addiction is treatable. Chances are you know someone with a substance use disorder. Chances are they need support, not shame. By using non-judgmental, neutral language, we can remove stigma and improve treatment. Chances are your words can change lives.
And just as an FYI, you saw the Peer 360 Recovery Alliance. It is on their website. That video is available. I believe you can download it off of there as well. So especially if you're using the kit, here's some different things that people did with our campaign They use it to make med safety kits. We did language audits as well. We looked at organizations, and within each organization looked to see whether or not the language we were using was conducive to actually promoting the not stigma against stigma compared to promoting stigma unintentionally or intentionally, either way. And we did have an evaluation. And the thing about our evaluation, it was a small evaluation. The reason it was so small is we started this prior to COVID, and all this went during COVID, so we didn't have the numbers that we had anticipated. Here's my contact information as well. Like I said, I have that, but I do want to show you the campaigns. You get an idea of how much is actually on this. When you get this, what you see in this whole document, you get all this. So if you go to the toolkit itself, there's the anti-stigma, there's selfie cards, there's a stigma. Go back to it more. There's the surveys I talked about. There's one for youth as well. There's a landing page information on there as well. The logos are there. There's social media. You know, we talk about social media. Sasha, look at this one. This is even easier. It's all done for you. All you have to do is copy and paste and put some images in. So this itself is worth just the price in gold just to have that for that type of campaign. So these are all the different things. And then we have additional things on stigma as well from different places we've received, a little bit on the audit. And then this has our workshop information in it, just to give you an idea. In the workshop, if you decide to do that route, you get the presentation, you get the chances are participation manual, the facilitators manual. If you do the training of the trainers, we gave you the training of the trainers actual presentation, as well as a guide to show you what you should be talking about during that training of the trainers. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things that are available within that system regarding the Chances Are campaign. And Mike, I've done 2 minutes early, so figure that one out, right? Okay.
Well, thank you, Barry. I was going to say go back to that evaluation slide for just a second, but I can look at that later. Or if you want to pull it up, but looking for, now we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so with some questions, comments. I've always have some questions myself, but I'd prefer to hear what questions you guys might have. Barry did put a question on early in, and yeah, let me take a look at this since we got in there. So this is the thing you launched during COVID.
Correct. We didn't have as many as we would have liked, but this was in 8 counties at the time. Since we launched this, we had Osceola, Mecosta, and Eaton just joined recently with Sharice there in Eaton County as well. So.
Gotcha. Well, I'm a data geek too, a little bit. I think other people have mentioned that there's been lots of data kind of, especially on the analytics of ads and your reach on the social media. To me, that stuff's very interesting to look at. All right, well, thank you for sharing this for just a little bit longer. I just want to take a peek at it. But this is something you could do. Maybe, do you guys do this pre and post or just this post?
Yeah, it was basically a pre and post, exactly. I mean, it's not a true pre and post because you have to do different things, but we were looking at doing a specific, letting people know about it and then doing it again. Yes. So yeah, it wasn't a true pre and post, but it was our best that we could do. So.
Well, thank you, Barry.
Question on the cost. Barry, I think you mentioned $8,000 as a number for this project.
Yeah.
Is that what it took you? Is that what it would cost us to buy into it? Or is that what it costs to implement it?
It would cost you nothing to buy into it. We already paid that cost with the OND money. So that's already there. The only thing you would have to, if you do any bus ads, things like that, you'd have to pay for that. Everything else would be provided to you free, except for the workshop. I do ask for a $25 fee for train the trainers. But that $25 goes back into the actual Chances Are campaign to continue to build it and look at revisions down the road. So
I just have to say, Barry, I just love your peacock feathers in your picture here.
You always do.
Questions and comments from folks. I saw Barry, you had a question in one of the presentations about the cost, I think, too.
Yeah, that was to Hunter, because I mean, if you guys do all that, I just gotta pay you money to do it. I mean, do we have to, as far as content, can you change the content out as well, periodically? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's you guys can change content as often as you would like. Typically, we'd like at least a 24 to 36 hour turnaround time, and that's about how long it takes for any edits to a piece of creative that you're running. We have a lot of clients that pivot quite often, that vary between whether it be marijuana, vaping, underage drinking. So it is a constant ebb and flow. I think I did see your question about cost. It is completely depends on how big your area is, how many people you'd like to target. Keeping in mind, we would like to see a frequency that makes sense. Are these people seeing this creative enough times where they're actually going to make a change or take that next step to whatever it may be, depending on the situation. So I think as far as cost, it is $10 per 1,000 impressions would be the simplest way of putting it, but that can vary totally depending on population, who we're looking to target, what we're doing, things like that.
Okay. That just gives me a ballpark. Thank you.
Yep.
Wait for me to sell it to my coalition.
Said $10 per 100,000 impressions. Is that what you said, Hunter?
Per 1,000 impressions.
Per 1,000. Okay. And then how many impressions? I can't recall how many impressions that would be. So what is that? Can you get a little bit more idea of what it costs in Northern Michigan?
Yeah, for example, Susan used her liquor tax grant dollars for that campaign. That was a $12,000 campaign, ran over 6 months, 5 months. So we can make, I truly believe we can make any amount of grant dollar work. We just need to make sure that, I really want to make sure that the campaign is effective. So that whether that be tightening up who we target, tightening up where we target, tightening up how long we target, there is a way more times than not.
Questions, comments, folks?
Oh, I just have one quick question. So I understand, you know, what you showed in regards to how many hits and engagements and all of that, but how do we, you know, the money that is spent, because it can be very costly, how do we, is there anything further, anybody from this group, I guess, that's used such a campaign to measure the success of it? So, you know, we all are grant funded, and so they're always looking for data and stats and all of the above. And so even going beyond how many hits or how many engagement it has, is there any way to measure any other type of success from a campaign, a social media campaign?
So a really good question, a tough question to, I'm sure all of us on the call struggle with how to measure a successful public health campaign. How many people do we need to impact for this to make sense from a financial standpoint? I think one thing you can do is you can always look at your website traffic on the back end. I think Marcel mentioned that if you see an increase there is, we are at least getting people to see more information. I'd like to think that 1.2 million people over, not individual people, but 1.2 times or 1.2 million times, somebody saw a message that maybe they hadn't seen prior, and we can, so it is tough to really put like an actual, was this campaign successful or not? I know Susan does try to include us in some surveys as much as possible to see, she talks with her students to see if what we're putting out is being seen by students, things like that. But it's tough to like really put a hard yes or no on was the campaign successful.
Yeah, and I would say the only real way to measure that is the same way that we measure our impact in any other areas, is with surveys. Broad canvassing surveys before you try your campaign, and broad canvassing surveys after. The same way that we do with when we go into schools, we do pre and post tests. When we go into when we do community events, we do pre and post tests. So it's hard to measure the real world impact. But I don't feel like it's any more or less. It's difficult to measure the impact that you have on a school as well. You go in, you do your messaging, you take the survey, but that's really the only way that you have to know if your message really got through. Is over a broad scale, do the numbers go down?
I equate it to if I'm having an event and I have 150 people at my event. I still don't know then if they're all going to take that information and use those resources. They attended my event, but I still don't know unless I have some sort of a survey what the outcome is, how many of those people use those resources. To me, it's pretty much the same with social media. I might have 150 people look at a post, but I still don't know if they called those numbers or used those resources. So I think it's really pretty similar to some in-person events too.
Great question, Vicki. We wonder that as well. And, well, actually, you were on that call, Vicki, too. This issue was brought up at that regional prevention meeting, and Charlene talked about more process evaluation, like they evaluate how many different partners they have that distribute the information, that they can increase the number of partners that distribute their posts, or those kind of things is how they kind of look at it. But great question. Other questions? Comments? Look at the chat. How about just anybody can answer this, or all of you can answer this, but just, like a lot of us, we have competing priorities. And so I can probably concede there's some value in utilizing social media. And again, I've gone through periods where I have used it, but then other things get busy and it kind of drops by the wayside. But how much time do each of you who are using social media dedicate, to doing this, to making this a priority for your coalition or organization?
For me, for the Healthy Grosse Pointe and Harper Woods Coalition, I would say some days I spend maybe 15 minutes. And I'm a part-time employee, so it does, it takes a lot of time. I certainly spend probably an hour a week on it, but that's just for one coalition. I know a lot of people, especially community organizers, you run 3 and 4 different organizations, but it takes time.
Yeah, we have, we have a staff person that the majority of her job is creating social media posts and keeping our social media accounts active. Because a lot of the time is spent just creating, like she's a Canva pro and she, creates, we give her information, we give her data, and then she, creates posts. She also shares things, from other sites like, Sasha was mentioning too. But yeah, we devote a lot of time, like I said, that's like 3/4 of her full-time job is keeping our social media accounts active.
Wow, that is quite a dedication to it.
Yeah.
What is the title of the person that does that, Mary Ann? Is it like a social media communications director?
Well, she kind of just like, she was hired as a prevention coordinator, and she just had a really good aptitude on Canva and just was very creative and started creating really, really nice content for us. And then we use Hootsuite. So she schedules everything on Hootsuite. So, so she spends, she'll spend a lot of time creating, and then she gets she'll get everything that's going to go out in January scheduled by the end of December. So then it's all scheduled, it goes out, it has the days, the times, everything. She has certain days of the week that certain of our handles, like for Peeps, which is our youth organization, she'll have posts going out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and she'll have that all scheduled. And that's for all of our different platforms and the different handles that we use on those platforms.
Thanks. Marcel, were you jumping in there? Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, much like the employee that Mary Ann describes, it can be hours a day, and like Sasha said, when you handle multiple coalitions, or organizations, then it can take a lot longer, especially when you're generating the content and doing the graphic design and doing the research on what to go into the content. That stuff can be really time consuming and take a long time as well. And that isn't even to touch on researching what hashtags to use, what how to best target the target audience and demographics you want, what what zip codes or what keywords to use to make sure that your ads are going to show to the people that you're trying to show them to, trying to figure out what sort of interest to put in to make sure that when they search, or what to make sure that you're getting the type of people that you want to target with those ads. So it can be something that you just do a couple times, a few minutes a day, but it can also be something that a full-time staff person making X amount of money can be devoted to. Right.
And Mary, you said about 2 hours a week, mostly done in your own time, not work time, so that's no good. Anything to comment further about that? And then Emily, you said you have a part-time person. A big part of her job is to do that, but
yeah, it's very similar to what she just talked about. Is she was hired as a prevention coordinator, and she just knocked it out of the park with Canva and made everything look really nice. And so now we send all of our stuff to her, and she does all of our social media posts, all of our flyers. That way it's nice to have the same style per se. So, if I were to make something, it probably wouldn't look half as good as what she makes. So, we're really lucky. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most of the places I've worked over the years, it's kind of like we're just kind of generalists. We just expected to kind of do it all. So you're a marketer, you're a social media person, you're the program person, you're the policy person. So it's, a different way to look at it. If you have the funds, maybe to hire write that into people's jobs, perhaps it's probably a better commitment to it. Any other questions or comments?
Mike, do we budget about 5 hours a month is what I kind of budget our one staff person that does that. So, and she usually schedules that pretty much for the whole month on an afternoon or two. So.
Okay. Well, any thoughts for any of you as far as I guess we're going to find out a little bit later in the poll here in just a second, but any ideas if people haven't used social media much, how they might get started, I guess, doing it for their coalition? Any thoughts on that? Sounds like we have a lot of experienced people, but I would say on the less experienced side of things. And by the way, just a plug, some of the McCRUD, Michigan Coalition to Reduce Underage Drinking, has been looking for a social media coordinator. So if anybody wants to, and we're glad to work with an experienced person, but we're glad to work with somebody who wants to get some experience. We'll take a chance, and maybe it'll be a win-win. But just want to throw that out there too, that we would love to have somebody help us with our social media. But what thoughts does anybody have about where do you get started? How?
I think just starting small, it's a very overwhelming concept. And you think about all the different platforms. I should be on Twitter. I should be on Instagram. I should be here. Pick one and just start. I prefer Instagram because you can share it to Facebook. So you're getting, 2 posts for one. But just pick one platform and just go for it. Post once a week, post one story a week, and then just increase it. It's the whole baby steps thing. Just slow and steady, kind of increase. But you gotta start. You do have to start.
Yeah, I'd agree with Sasha. One of the best ways to get started, I think, is using Instagram to kind of tell the story of what your organization is doing. So, when you guys have events, when you guys are meeting, to take pictures of those events, post pictures of those events, come up with a caption to tell exactly what you're doing. And, that's a great way to start the narrative of your organization and to introduce people on social media to who you are. In fact, just today, later on, I have a presentation to a board of directors. I just went back on our Instagram and looked through all the activities that we did, copied the pictures onto a PowerPoint, and used the captions, reworded the captions to make my presentation. So now I have pretty much everything our coalition did ready to go to the board of directors. I can also use that for our annual report next year. So, one of the biggest things that I believe is to use Instagram, and of course you cross-post to Facebook, and you can really use that to weave a narrative and tell the story of your coalition.
Any other final thoughts from anybody else on that?
I would just add that, me not being on Twitter myself personally, that if you can find a young one, a youth, and make them feel special and important, and showing us, I'll put myself in this category, older people on how to navigate through some of these social media platforms. The intern that I just happened to have is in her second year of college, and she was thrilled to get us started and to kind of show me the ropes. So I still could use some additional training, and I think it comes best from our young people. I have a 16-year-old son, and he's teaching me every day about Snapchat. So
yeah, find yourself a young person to talk to. All right, well, we're going to pull up one poll, and we're going to go into some small groups and have this wrapped up in about the next 20 minutes or so. But let's see, let me stop sharing this. All right. There we go. Okay, here we go. So kind of is it out there, kind of self-rating your own use of your coalition social media? Curious. Got some feedback somewhere. So I'll just take a second to finish the poll. We got just about everybody. Anybody else want to get in there? Somebody's not paying attention? That's okay. All right, let's see. Oh, there we go. We got it. Maybe they left. All right, so end the poll, share the results. All right, so the results up there, are they being shared?
Looks like it.
Okay, good. So 1 out of 14 says they're doing very good. And I don't know if who participated in it, but is that one of our presenters, or is it, I'm going to guess maybe Mary Ann, or who's the very good? Who's saying they're doing it very good? What's that?
Sasha. That's Sasha.
Okay. Well, I would have figured one of our presenters, or again, from hearing Mary Ann talk about their commitment to it. How about who's in the good category range? And again, you kind of commented. Anybody else on there want to comment about, or any final comments about why you think you're doing a good job with it, Mary Ann, or whoever else might have mentioned it?
I just think, I think we're doing good, but I think we could do more. I think there's more to learn, and, more things that we could utilize, especially after hearing some of the stuff today. So.
Yeah, I think there's always things that can learn more. And it does, from my vantage point, from what I've heard already, it sounds like you guys have, are doing a good job, and you have quite a commitment to it. If it's majority of somebody's position. How about on the very poor end of the things spectrum? Can you share why you kind of rated yourself very poor or poor, either one of those two categories?
I did very poor because we have it, but we don't really use it. So it's just like, yeah, let's put it on Facebook, and oh look, we had so many hits, and what they've said is like, well, John has the most posts on that, and if I have the most posts, we're not using it really well at all. We're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'd probably say we're the poor end, very poor end section for McCrud. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I say that tongue in cheek, but also because most of the posts I do are more of a general post about general information that I'm posting on our recovery team, our prevention coalition, and just so it's not specific to a targeted message. So that's why I did very poor.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we're going to go into breakouts for about the next 15 minutes or so, and I'm just going to automatically put people in there.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
This is Achilles. Just general kind of comment on this, and thank you so much for all the people involved in commenting and in sharing their experiences. One thing that I have observed as a coordinator of the work that is done by providers in substance use coalitions is that people are at different, they have different levels of knowledge and involvement with social media, and the effectiveness of the use of social media varies significantly based on the level of comfort that they have, and also on the kind of messages that they post, and that the messages sometimes does reflect the level of comfort and knowledge that they have. One thing to remedy this, or to a certain extent to mitigate that and to level off and to actually to elevate the knowledge and enhance the ability that we as a region have in the utilization of social media and other kind of electronic media as well. We hired a company, and it's actually, they have offices in different places in our area, but their main office is in Michigan, in Lansing. Their name is King Media. And what they did was they developed a specific they develop a curriculum, okay, for preventionists, okay, because we don't have most of the time, sometimes we do have funding for a full campaign that's to be run, that can be run by professionals, such as some of the panelists that were here today. But most of the time, we do not have the funding to do that, so we have to do that ourselves, or some of our providers have to do that. And so they developed a specific knowledge, and it really helped me understand, how to fashion how to craft your message, how to have a underlying kind of message, what they call the overarching message, and how to fashion a message to specific target audience, how to gear your specific messages to specific target audiences, how to connect that audience with the message you have, and also they did some of your presenters did talk about how to measure the impact of the penetration of those messages, how to measure the number of likes, or how to measure some of the analytics of the thing. So it helped us a lot with that. But once again, I think to enhance the effectiveness of the use that we have of social media, there are two things that I think are very, very critical. One is to know your audience, your target audience. The second one is to use the type of social media that connects with the audience. And the third one is to craft a message that is impactful and has like a zest and connects with that target audience. Those are the things that I learned from the training that they developed, which was a self-propelled kind of self-paced training that they developed specifically for us. So,
Gotcha. Well, thank you for sharing that, Achilles. We are going to go into breakouts for about the next 10 or 12 minutes and then wrap this up. And so let me do that. I'm just going to create 4 breakouts and assign them automatically. If you're a presenter, if 2 presenters end up in one, just come back and we'll put you in another one. Open our, there we go. Maybe we should have gone. I think when you close it, everybody's got like a minute or something like that. So we'll probably start to see people roll back in, but does one of you would one of you be able to give a quick 1 minute description of what we talked about? Maybe.
I'll go.
All right. Well, hang on. We'll wait till everybody gets back. All right. Thanks.
Like I have to sign off. Sorry. Thank you for doing this though.
Yeah, no problem. See you, John.
Yep.
Getting out to the bitter end. We got a few of us still left. Might have lost our presenters too, but nope, they're coming back. All right. All right. Well, we are going to close out. But one group want to give a 30-second report about what we talked about, or real brief. Marcel, do you mind?
Yeah, I'll go. We talked briefly about scheduling apps, how to connect Instagram and Facebook, and how to, the benefits of using a scheduler post between those two apps, Business Suite. And we also touched on how to manage your Facebook pages when a non-employee is no longer running them.
Thank you. Somebody else want a quick report out?
Our quick report for group 3, really, the biggest takeaway was you don't have to do it all at once. If your goal for January is to make a page, and then maybe in February, you get a post or 2 up. Baby steps. Don't be intimidated. Start small.
I think that's a great advice for almost anything. But yes, another report out.
Yep. And finally, our group, we basically talked about, they already have a campaign getting ready to launch on marijuana. And we talked about messaging and how we got to be careful not to have 2 messages in one specific thing, because we could confuse people. And they're looking at trying to include the youth as well. So they're excited about your TikTok, Marcel, too. So.
Last group.
Yeah, we I think our 2 biggest focuses were kind of the do's and don'ts of how to run a successful digital media campaign, really making sure that the campaign is targeted towards the correct audience. So we are running an effective campaign, and then how crucial it is to make sure that your creative is going to stand out up against however many different pieces of creative that person has already seen throughout the day.
Thank you. Well, thank you to all the presenters and participants. I appreciate you guys taking time to jump on today. Hopefully you learned a little bit, met some folks. Maybe you can reach out to them individually. Again, we might run it back a little bit differently in the new year if we want to focus a little bit more on some of this. But I appreciate everyone being here. If any of the presenters have just a minute or 2 to stay on, that'd be great. But if not, I'll see all of you at some point. But thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone, and happy holidays, and be safe.
Yeah, thank you.